Hello everybody and welcome into my latest live broadcast. Today a review. The date is February 19th, 2021. It's Friday and my name is Carey Holzman. Thanks you guys so much for joining me this evening, and I'm hoping that this is not going to be a typical marathon video. I'm very interested in this device that was sent to me for review, and I've been wanting one of these for quite some time. And what this is a wireless HDMI transmitter. And the reason I want it, well, first let me explain why they're typically used. In filmmaking, typically a director or somebody monitoring the production of what the cameras are capturing will have a portable monitor that they can walk around the set looking at what is being filmed while it's being filmed. And I absolutely have no need for that. But what I would like to do is, if I take one of my cameras over here, like, oh, this one, let me just walk off camera here for a second and grab it. What I would like to do is make this completely wireless so that, let's say Mitch is here filming or something like that. I'm hoping that there won't be enough latency for this, that it should work the other direction, that we can mount this to the top of the camera, and with the battery, and I'm not sure how this is powered yet, but there's got to be some kind of battery, I'm imagining. I don't know. I haven't done any reviews or research on this whatsoever. But to be able to have a fully wireless camera, I think just a short wire to run from the sending unit into the output of the camera, and then be able to just walk around with it within range of the receiver, and the receiver can be plugged into the capture card. And I'm hoping, you know, we keep the audio connected from one master source so we can switch cameras all over. The audio isn't affected, so I don't need to carry audio over this. Now these sell for, you know, $600, $700. I think this unit here is about $650. And the company sent it to me in exchange for review. Well, that helps both of us because I'm kind of curious if I can use it, and I want to underscore your understanding of this review. I want to use this in a way it was not intended. Another reason you might use something like this is if you were to hang a projector from the ceiling, but you don't have any way to bring the HDMI video source to the projector. This would enable you to wirelessly transmit your video to the projector without running a wire across your ceiling. And that's assuming you have, obviously, power for the projector somewhere in the ceiling, or perhaps there's even a way that you can convert an existing light bulb socket to be your power source for your projector, which is entirely possible. You still have the issue of getting the video to it, which could be some ugly cabling or in-wall cabling where things get a little more complicated. Something like this, completely wireless, and it also enables you to move the projector around much easier if you wanted to utilize it in other rooms of the house or other homes. So this gives us the portability. But again, it's expensive, and the reason it's expensive, it's primarily used in professional video production. So we'll just have to see how it's going to work here. I don't know, might be the best thing ever, or I might be completely misjudging what this is capable of. It's brand new. I've never opened it. I've done no research as far as, like, sometimes, excuse me, sometimes with other products, I may look quickly at some other YouTube reviews and skip through them to get an idea, you know, of what I'm getting myself into. That I don't usually have a lot of time to do that. I'm usually rushing from one project into the next one. I'm trying to do as much as I can possibly do every day. And in this instance, it probably would have done me some good to do a little research. But these are live and unscripted videos, and I like to replicate pretty much what folks at home typically do. A lot of people, when they buy something new, a lot of times they're just so anxious, they just rip it out of the box and plug everything in. And then when things don't work, if they don't work, that's when they go to the documentation. So I'm going to play it out that way because that's the way most people I know behave. This is a company called Hollyview, and Hollyview makes several other products in this, you know, video-related products. And I want to thank the folks over at Hollyview for reaching out to me. A link for this product is in the notes below the video. As always, it's an Amazon link. If you use my Amazon link to make any purchase, I get a small commission, very small commission, but it changes nothing for the buyer, or at least if you're in the United States. The link doesn't really help you if you're outside of the US. But if you're in the US and you use my Amazon link, any Amazon link I post, and then it takes you to Amazon, even if you don't buy the product that that link takes you to, if you then make any other purchase during that browser visit to Amazon, whatever you buy, you're still paying the same price, your same shipping, everything's the same. I just make a small commission. So it's a good way to show your support for the channel. And anyway, that's how all that works, full disclosure. Not trying to hide anything or be deceitful or deceptive. It's just typical, standard, everyday way content creators add a little something, something. If enough people use it, it can be significant. Little pennies add up. Joe Bush has our first contributor tonight with a $9.99 contribution. Hey, Joe, thank you for that. And thanks for kicking us off here with the contribution. Let's see what is in this box here. I imagine it's what's pictured on the outside of the box, but I don't know what cables or how it's powered, or any of that. This is the Mars 400S Pro version. It's a 400-foot range. It does HDMI and SDI. SDI is more or less higher end equipment than what I'm using. The camera I'm shooting with is an XF400 from Canon, and the XF405 has the SDI. It costs a bit more money, and because I don't use SDI, there's no use to me to pay the extra money for the SDI equipment. Everything I do is HDMI, so that's ideal. We've got a card here that's thanking you for purchasing, what they call an after sales card. We've got documentation, which we'll get to maybe. And then the units are smaller than they appeared to be. I thought they would be a little bigger, which is good. The smaller is better because more portable. You'll notice one has a red, forget what this piece is called, but to secure it down onto the hot shoe, or it doesn't have to be a hot shoe, just a shoe. It slides in, and then you rotate that down and lock it in place and then slide out. So we've got a red one, we've got a blue one, and one is the sending unit, one is the receiving unit. We're going to get to all that. We'll figure it all out here soon enough. We've got a power adapter. Power adapter has a barrel plug that looks like it screws on so it won't fall out. That's always good, especially with something supposed to be portable. And then there's a US plug adapter. So apparently they sell these in a lot of different countries. And then the US plug adapter then would just go on to the wall wart here. I'm sure it just kind of twists and locks on. So now that can plug into a US outlet. Good, good. And then I think, what else do we have? We have antennas. Wait a minute, there's 5? I thought there's 2 each. Why do we have 5? I think that's all there is in the box. That's it. So I don't know why there's only 1 power. I have no idea how this is all going to come together. Larry Wood contributes $20. Hey, Larry, thank you for that. I appreciate that very much. We take a look. Now, again, I'm just going to grab a unit randomly. I don't know if it's the sending or the receiving unit. So we'll just take a close-up look one at a time. I'll come up to the camera and show you what we've got here. This is the unit itself, and then it's got a screen on it where you can control the channel. So if you had a noisy channel or you had multiple units that you wanted to use simultaneously, they have to be on different channels, so you know which one to pick from. There is a section here for a battery. I forget the name of this battery. I think I have these batteries back at the house. That's a good sign. I like that it's got a battery option available. There is what appears to be the DC input for power. This is the shoe connector here that it's talking about, where it's red. And then where these yellow caps are, these caps come off and the antennas can go on. And then you've got your SDI. In case you were curious what an SDI connector looks like, you've seen them before, I'm sure. Okay. And then we have some plastic on the screen right here that's going to come off. Right. right, so that's one unit right there. Oops. I just want to put that in the garbage can. Okay, so we're going to keep these little caps in case it gets sent back to the manufacturer. I can send back what they sent me. So overall, that's the first unit. I didn't discuss the connectors on the back. Let's talk about that real quick because it's pretty simple, straightforward. Again, the SDI is there. HDMI is there. There's a USB, which apparently it can be powered because it's saying 5 to 12 volts. So maybe it can be powered through the USB. They don't give you that Type-C cable, but it's a nice thing to know if you have something that's USB. And then, of course, your on-off button right there. That's just a momentary contact switch. And then again, here you've got your up and down and menu option buttons there. Pretty standard stuff. This doesn't do anything. It's just for looks. It doesn't turn or anything like that. It's just for looks. David Griswold has contributed $5. Hey, thank you, David. He says, hello, just a little something to help take care and be safe. Oh, a little something to help out. Cool. Thank you, David. And Bebo contributes $5. Thank you, David. Thank you, Bebo. All right, so that unit is, I guess, good to go. And now we've got this unit here. Looks pretty much exactly the same. I pull the yellow caps off. I'm going to put the antennas on it. Now this one, again, has the same screen with a little cover on it. I don't know why they've given us an extra antenna. That's kind of weird. And it appears identical in every way. If we compare the backs, there's still a place for a battery. There's still a place for a USB. On-off is in the same place. HDMI is in the same place. And barrel connector for power is in the same place. So in a perfect world, what I would do is I would power one of these and run an HDMI output into the back of the capture card. This is the streaming computer that is broadcasting this to you now. And then on the camera side of things, one of these would mount to the camera, the red or the blue, I have to see which one's which. And then we would run a small cable from the camera output into the broadcasting side of it or the transmitting side of it. And then I would need a battery or some, because I don't think I could power it with this. So I would need to buy one of these batteries, which I used to have here. I think I have them. I think I returned them. Pretty sure I took them back. I did have them here because they belonged in video production. It's a pretty common battery that's used for things like lights and stuff like that. So I just was checking and I don't have them here anymore. So just very quickly, I just want to know which one's the transmitter, which one's the receiver, because I think that's pretty much all we're going to need to know. It does show that, it is meant to take the video output of a camera. It's just meant to put it on a screen, not necessarily a video capture card, but it shouldn't really matter. And they're just really just showing diagrams in here of how things hook up, but I don't see how they're identifying the transmitter from the receiver. It shows typical setup. But it's not showing which one's the oh, it says right on it. Okay, I didn't realize that because my glasses weren't on, but they're clearly labeled. Now, if it was me, I'd make the one with the little red adjustment, the transmitter, and that's exactly what they did. It says right down there, transmitter. And the blue one, right in that same corner, says receiver. All right, so the blue one, that would go here. And the red one, that one's going to go here on this camera's shoe. This is called the shoe. And we could put it on facing the camera operator, right? So the camera operator can see what's going on. Slide that into the shoe. There's a shoe adapter on here because this Canon camera has a smaller than normal hot shoe. And this adapter adapts the smaller shoe to the standard industry shoe. I don't know why Canon did that. And it's basically like loosening it, but what it's doing is it's tightening the pressure so that now that won't go anywhere. And we don't have to have those antennas straight up either. But now, in theory, once I give this an HDMI cable and some power, I should be able to go fully wireless with this camera. And the cable needs to go from here to here. Just a small mini HDMI to HDMI cable. So for now, bear with me as I'm gonna just try what I can to just make this work at a very basic level, just to test it. I am a little concerned of how I'm gonna provide power to it right now, but we're gonna try and get a little creative with that as well. On the receiving side of things, this is going to plug in to HDMI. And so for that, I'm just going to get a regular HDMI cable. Again, I would not need a very long cable, just maybe a 2-foot or 3-foot cable would be more than enough, because this is going to stay right next to the HDMI capture card here on the computer. And so I don't need to use the hot shoe on this at all. I can just lay this down. So all I'm going to do is run an HDMI cable from the back of this, right there, into the back of the capture card on the back of the computer over here. This cable's way long for this. Now, because I don't have that other battery, I didn't realize, because again, I do as much as I can here live so you guys can experience the whole unboxing process and discovery process along with me, that I'm just going to set that there, and I'm going to try using a USB cable for it. And I know I have a USB cable around here. Let me just grab a random USB cable. This one should work here. Here we go. I'm hoping this will work. I don't know. This is just what I have laying around. So this is just a regular Type A USB to Type C. And we can plug that in for power, I'm hoping, right here where it says USB. Plug it in just like that. And then, in theory, I can plug this in to any USB port just to get power to it. I'm not sure what's going to happen here. So now that's plugged in and it's got power. I'm going to try turning it on. We'll press the power button. Yeah, and it is working. We do have power. So that's good. It says no video, and there's like a little fan running. There's no battery. These are the indications on the screen. I'm sort of limited in cable length to bring it any closer to the camera. But for all I care, that's good enough for testing to determine if it's going to suit our needs. I should have to figure out where to put it. That'll be fine. Okay, on the camera side, I need a short mini HDMI to HDMI. I don't have a short one. Typically, these cameras are connected with a cable that you have to walk around with, so the cables are pretty long. But again, I just want to test it to see if it's even gonna possibly work for what I want it to work. And if so, then I'll make sure I get the battery and I'll get the right length of cable so that I can put this into production. But before I go any further, this end of the cable, if you've never seen, there's micro, there's mini, and there's standard HDMI plugs. And these Canon cameras use what's called a mini HDMI, which looks like that. And by comparison, regular HDMI, normal HDMI looks like that. And then there's an even smaller one. But for the Canon cameras, this is what we use. And again, I would just use the shortest one I could buy, because if this is going to do what I need it to do, we simply need to go from right here on the side of the camera There's a mini, it's mini HDMI. This should get interesting. There's a lot of cable. That's all I got to work with. So we'll just plug this in to the camera. This is pretty standard. This is how I always do it. And then typically, this end of the cable would go directly to the capture card, and then you'd be tethered with this cable running off that battery, and that's how we do it. But now I should be able to plug this into the back of this transmitter, right? So that's really the only length of cable that I needed, just to go those few inches, right? Boom. And now I have to figure out a way to give this some power. Now the camera does have a USB output, but I don't think it's going to provide the voltage that we need. So rather than try to provide the right voltage to it, and because I don't have the battery, I'm going to use the power adapter, and I don't need to walk around with this. Like, just so I can see if there's any delay, I'll move the camera around and see. 400 feet is a pretty big range, certainly bigger than any studio that I've ever filmed in. I would never go more than probably 40 or 50 feet. Right now, I'm probably about 12 feet from the camera, and that's pretty standard. And so just to be able to move it left and right to each side, that's all I needed to do. So 400 feet should be more than enough. So for the sake of testing, I'm going to just plug it in, and we're going to be tethered by the power cable, but that will at least give me an idea of what's capable. So again, the barrel connector is going to fit on right there, and we'll screw it down so it doesn't go loose. And then I have to find a place to plug it in, which is going to be probably my biggest challenge. But again, if this does what I need it to do, then I will just run it off battery. So I shouldn't even need the power adapter at all. If I can run the receiver side off the computer's USB cable where it's plugging in anyway, that's one less cable plugging into the power strip, and it's a cleaner installation. So now I've got the power adapter, and I've got to go down here to the floor because that's about the closest one I've got. Okay, and then I can sort of show you this here. We'll hit the power button, which is on this side over here. So when I hit the power button, should see, I guess I have to hold it in for a second. We should see something happen on the screen, and we do. It says there's no video. I don't have the camera on yet, so let's do a couple of things. One is we open the lens cover. That's really important. We're going to turn the camera on right here. And manual mode so I don't have all the text on the screen. And now we should be transmitting. It says I'm on channel 8. Ideally, this one out of the box without any configuration should be on the same channel, and we should be ready to rock and roll. So what I'm going to do, now I'm very limited by this power cable. It's very, very short. So I'm not sure how I'm going to do this yet. However, I'm going to just set it here, and we're going to select input number 2 on the capture card. I have no idea what it's going to look like, so bear with me. Okay, so you just see it says no signal on the screen right now, and that's because I've closed the door on the camera and it's turned off the video output. So I'm going to open that little door back up of the screen, and hopefully we're going to see some video, I hope. Maybe? Maybe? Nothing? It says no signal. That's a little disconcerting. Let me leave that open for a second. Should be transmitting. Shows everything is good on the back of the unit. We make sure I'm plugged in all the way to the back of the capture card, and I am. So just to avoid any confusion, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this window down a little bit so that you can see me at the same time so you don't think that we've lost the feed. I guess I have to put that one on top like that. Then we can move it over here like this. Okay, so somewhere I've got something to configure that I'm missing. Let me just take a quick look at the settings. Make sure I'm on the right input. No, that's me. That's not it. Should be this input. This should be the right input. I'm not sure what I'm doing wrong. Maybe it timed out because this LED display went out. And it's not coming back on. It appears that my USB cable has fallen off because it's not there anymore. And that's kind of important. I don't have power to the unit. So apparently I've moved it or bumped it and I unplugged it. So this is a problem when we're testing equipment before we go to, fully decide whether we're going to fully implement it or not. I'm sort of running off whatever cables I've got. And as a result, this power cable is limiting where I can put the camera. And then this, oh, here we go. It's booting up. Is it going to give me the camera feed or what? Still nothing. It's very interesting. Come on now. There we go. Hey, I think this has the possibility of doing exactly what I need it to do. I like this. Now, if I move it quickly, is there any lag, delays? Let me put it on my face. And I want to, that's pleasant. I want to make sure my lips are in sync, that the latency between these units isn't such that it's going to be very noticeable, I hope. This is very promising. Let me take a look inside of here. Yeah, that's what I wanted for, to be fully portable. I think this is going to do it. I think this is exactly what I needed. So I just got to get the cable, some shorter cables ordered. There you go. Here's my view. That's what I get to look at. I need to get some shorter cables ordered. I need to get the battery and the battery charger for the unit. And then I need to test to see how long I can go with the battery on here. This battery on the back of the camera will last like 6 hours or 10 hours. It's a big battery. So if I can get something equivalent on this side of it, even if I can go, let's say 4 hours, 3 or 4 hours, because this is just a secondary camera, this is great. This is what I was hoping for. It's very smooth. If I move the camera quickly, its response time is really good. Now, granted, I'm not very far away from the receiving unit, but I don't expect this to degrade in any latency as long as we keep that signal strength up. You'll see we're at 5 bars. We've got no obstructions. I'm not shooting between walls. This holds a lot of promise. I mean, I'm starting to get excited now. I try to be reserved about my excitement so I'm not so disappointed. But this, oh, I'm really happy with this. So my follow-up review on this will be once I get the right length cable so it looks right and make sure I have a power source. And then also on this, I got to figure out a way to mount this. There's probably maybe a little tripod I can buy, like for on this unit here. Probably a little tripod, like for a small GoPro camera or something. Little tiny tripods, and I can just put it up on top of this computer and let it sit there. Put it up I don't know. I'll find somewhere to put it. That's what I'm trying to say. And then by powering it through USB and then a shorter HDMI cable, just a 3-foot HDMI cable, that's going to do it. I mean, I love it. And now I have a fully portable camera with no cables attached. Like I said, once I get rid of this power cable and use a battery, and then this cable here would just be about, less than a foot long. And that's it. We'll be completely free to roam while transmitting video. This is exactly what I've been wanting for such a long time. And, this is not cheap, but look how good it's working. Look at the quality of the picture. You would never know that that's wireless. You'd never know. The image quality is just perfect. We're doing 1080 over here, and I'm very, very happy with this. And you see, I didn't really read any of the directions. The directions really aren't very good. They're just pictures with no descriptions. I couldn't even tell what was the sending unit and when was the receiving unit in the directions, but then the units themselves are obviously labeled for that. So I just wasn't paying close enough attention. I've never used any wireless video broadcasting equipment ever in my life. This is my first experience, and I had certain expectations, and they have been met. All of my concerns are gone now, so I will go on Amazon and I will order, I just shut the camera off. I will order the parts I need and move forward confidently to get that to be a regular piece of the studio now. Very, very happy with that. We can turn camera 2 off. Okay. So, what have I missed in the chat? A couple of contributions? No, we got them all. Good, good, good. Any questions? Does anybody have any questions for me? This will be probably a short video tonight. Let me take a look at Martin says, small rig has a whole range of cages and clamps to support exactly this type of usage. Right on, really cool. Marco says, did you get my PayPal? I don't know yet. I can't look at that while I'm live, so I would have to go back and look. There's some PayPal contributions that have come in that I haven't responded to yet, and I need to get on that. Some folks have emailed about the shirts. Got a bigger response than I was expecting. Everything's cool, but if you didn't get a response from me, you will. Just be patient, and I'll have, I may just do a short unlisted video to reply to everybody with, to tell you what's going on in my mind and how we're going to move forward with collecting payments and addresses. What else? Any other questions? I'm just looking through the chat room. Everybody here is saying the quality looks good. Marvin says $650 is a lot of money. You know what? In video production, you'd be surprised at what something like a basic cable would cost. Everything's pretty pricey. There's lights that are $2,000 that are some pretty basic lights. Tripods, C-stands that get expensive. Video production equipment is just expensive. I guess they just gouge because it's for video production. But I will say, the video capture card I use is $900, and it's a 4-port Magewell HDMI input. I can have 4 HDMI inputs simultaneously on the one card, and I can put up to like 4 cards for a total of like 16 inputs in a computer, which is ridiculous. I mean, sometimes I'll use all 4, but it's pretty rare. Most of the time I'll use 2 or 3. I'd say most of the time I use 2, and on occasion I use 3 of the inputs. If I get the studio set up the way I want it, there'll be a left camera, a right camera, a center camera, and then a capture of the computer output that I'm working on, the video output. So that's 4, and that's exactly the most I'll ever use. But that's a $900 capture card. And what I'm doing, I think a lot of people dismiss the complexities involved in YouTube videos that have good audio and good video quality, even if the camera operator is terrible. In my case, I'm trying to do everything myself, so I can't constantly monitor and adjust the audio. And I do try to monitor the video as much as possible, but a lot of times my brain is focused on the actual work I'm doing in front of the camera instead of what's going on behind the camera. So the more expensive equipment I buy, in a lot of cases, the less work I have to do. If you buy cheaper equipment, the cheaper equipment, generally speaking, needs more manual adjustment consistently, whereas the higher end, more expensive equipment is more likely to be able to self-adjust as needed in a quality level. You don't hear the lens. Like I've watched some YouTube videos and you hear the lens, every time it like tries to focus, you hear the focus lens being picked up by the in-camera microphone. These type of cameras, they don't do that. Also, when it comes to the focus mode, unless I'm filming a screen, these cameras are really good at holding focus, and it's one button to turn the autofocus off if I can stop long enough to reach over and do that while I'm trying to be live on camera and focus on the work I'm doing. I have to also then remember to turn the manual focus back off as I move around the room to have the camera focus. But as you've noticed from watching my videos, the only time we seem to have a focus issue where the camera will move in and out of focus is because I'm filming a screen. Now with that, if I had a camera operator, that could all be adjusted. The camera operator can focus on the production of the video. Doing it by myself, I've got the video quality, the connection quality, the audio quality, the battery life of the microphone, sending unit, receiving unit, the lighting, all of that I have to get set up before I go live, in addition to creating the thumbnail, the title, the video description, the date and the time, and all of the individual video settings. YouTube does save some of it, but a lot of it I have to just redo over and over and over again. And all that has to be done. Even if I just want to make a live video with no subject, I still have to go through that entire process. So sometimes when you see a video doesn't start on time, it's because I got hung up on some of those settings where they don't stick or something doesn't go right. Sometimes I do it all and then there's nobody showing up in the chat room and I realize that it went to unlisted instead of a public video. That drives me crazy when YouTube does that, because it just means I have to have an eagle eye to watch for all of that. And that could be one person's job, just to do all the administrative tasks of getting the video ready, making sure closed captioning is turned on, making sure the title, the thumbnail, the description, making sure the lighting and the camera are set up properly, that the batteries are charged, everything's ready to go for me so I can come out and do this job. I'm not there. I'm still doing everything myself. And the more money I spend on equipment, the less work I have to do. Because I was using a different style of HDMI input and it was just creating a nightmare for me. And then when I could use 2 or 3 of them to get 2 or 3 inputs at the same time, and then it just created triple the amount of problems. I was having heat-related problems and all kinds of things with these capture devices. So these Magewell 4-port HDMIs are the best I've used. And yeah, it's just been a savior to have it. It's been a real blessing to have it. It's made my life so much easier. And I'll probably switch over here pretty soon to Streamlabs so we can start watching the chat in the video and then have it announce contributions, because I know I miss a lot of them. And then we'll try that out and see how it's working here. I'm also working with Mike Smith on doing a StreamYard setup, which I'll use a different computer for tech vets and interviews with folks. I'm not going to use this setup because it's a pain in the rear end to reconfigure everything for interviews and then have to set it back for YouTube live videos. So if I have a different system set up and use StreamYard for that, it'll turn out to be much better, better video quality, better everything when it comes to interviews or bringing a guest on virtually. And when it comes to being live, I still think using Streamlabs or OBS is the way to go here on YouTube. I see Doug Betts in the chat. Hey, Doug. Doug's got his own technical channel where he shows how he does technical support and fixes problems that customers call him with. And it's pretty much like mine. It's very unedited and real. And if you're curious about learning more about how to fix computers or the type of language you might use when you're speaking to a customer, how to speak to them properly, how to ask the right questions, Doug's channel is massively underviewed. Be sure and check it out. GW Eisen mentions that at $650, this unit is still a lot cheaper than an iPhone. Good point. That's a very good point. And this one unit will last me years and years and years, whereas with phones, a lot of people always want the latest and greatest, and every year there's a new one, right? So the phones are definitely more money, and they don't last as long. Well, it's not to say they don't last as long, but people will feel like they don't have enough if somebody's got something better. But something like this, I mean, until I go to 4K, and if I ever go to 4K, these are going to continue to meet my needs. And I'm not doing anything at this point that requires or benefit from 4K. Marco says he's doing weekly maintenance on clients' 15 PCs while watching you. Yeah, Marco, I just had to do that the other night. I was on a client, they've got 8 PCs, and I was working late at night doing the updates, and I noticed there was a Malwarebytes update that hadn't been installed. I had to do that. There was a new version of VLC they were missing. They had 3.0.11, and it's like 3.0.12, so I did that. And then there's a couple that need BIOS updates, And I'm thinking, you know, I always show you guys how I do BIOS updates by going directly into the BIOS, downloading the BIOS and putting it onto a flash drive typically on another computer. And then I've shown that a dozen times here. But what I've never shown you is how I do it remotely. It is a little bit of a gamble, I will admit. I haven't had any problems with it, but you can load an app from, I know Asus and Gigabyte have an app. Gigabyte is the App Center, and then you download the @BIOS plugin for the App Center, and you can do the BIOS update right through Windows. And then when it's done, it restarts, and that can all be done remotely, which is really convenient. Now, the computers that have the BIOS updates, these computers are pretty old. So they've never had an issue, and there's no reason for me to put these BIOS updates in. But it does give me an idea to bring a system up here that needs a BIOS update, put it up on the bench, because I don't want to show off my customers' icons and, you know, unintentionally show any potential data breaches. So I can use a clean system, a clean install of Windows, and show you how I can how it's possible for you to update the BIOS through Windows if you choose to do that. Now, again, I'm not real familiar with MSI and ASRock, so you typically, what one manufacturer does, they all do. You've got 4 main manufacturers in the motherboard production space, which is Asus, Gigabyte, MSI, and ASRock. So typically what one does, the others do. So if I show you how to do it with Gigabyte, the name of the app for the other manufacturers will be different, but it should still exist and at least give you the idea, the concept, to show you how it works. And then, of course, if you have a Gigabyte board that's fairly modern, within 4 or 5 years, then the app should work exactly the same for you, be exactly the same. So that'll be coming up here in a while. I still have more videos to edit with Subaru Mike and a company called GoodSync, and more showing the usage of RoboForm coming up here over the course of, I think, the GoodSync video sometime around the first week of next month. We'll go back to RoboForm, and another special with RoboForm the first week of the month after that. That'll put us into April. And then at the end of April, some other exciting stuff, potentially with some new sponsorship opportunities. I've reached out to a few companies, and I got to tell you, the companies want to offer me the same boilerplate deals. This is the discount, this is the commission. I'm like, yeah, that's what everybody gets, right? Any YouTube content creator or vlogger gets the same deal. I said, I have a very special audience. It's highly targeted and intelligent audience that is right for your product, and the engagement numbers are larger than you've ever seen. But you won't know that if you don't give me something for my audience, something that's just for them. And even if it's the same deal you've offered elsewhere, that's okay, as long as it's not being offered elsewhere at the same time. In other words, if you're going to make a deal, if you're going to work with me, you've got to make my audience a deal that can't be found anywhere else for a limited time. They don't want to play ball. They just say, hey, this is the same deal we offer everybody, take it or leave it. I'm like, fine, see ya. I don't need it. If they're not going to go out of their way to recognize that my audience is worth more, then I don't want them. And I don't care what the commission is. And I know that maybe sounds like I'm pandering, but I'm dead serious. I'm looking out for you. Look, TV shows, radio programs, and even YouTube content creators sell you. They sell you. The more the view that they have, the more money they can charge to advertisers. And what do you get out of it? Well, I suppose you get continuing content, maybe. You know, if I make a lot of money and buy myself a Tesla, how does that benefit you exactly? So what I'm trying to do is make a win-win-win situation. I want a situation that benefits my audience for a product or a service that I use or recommend to my clients in real life. And I want to make a commission from it, obviously, but I'm willing to take a smaller commission that I'll make up in bulk, right, through just much more sales. And the company gets sales that they wouldn't have otherwise have received. So that's just no reason for a company not to participate, because it doesn't cost them any money. There's no risk to the company. I'm taking care of the cost of making the video. I'm taking care of the distribution, of getting it to the audience that is a targeted audience specifically for their product, or more so than just say a generic commercial on TV or the radio. You don't know who that's shown to. If you're watching this channel, then you're inclined to like the products that I'm showing you or services. And if companies don't recognize the value of that, then we don't need them. There's a lot of other companies in any particular product category. And if they don't want to, if they want to treat everybody like sheep and everybody's the same, they're not good enough to be a sponsor here. So I want you to know that I have run into this, at least 3 times over companies I'd like to bring on board, but they're very rigid and unflexible, and they just go, well, this is how we do it. I'm like, all right, well then that's why you're not going to make more money. I'm not asking you to change your policies indefinitely. I'm asking you to simply make an exception for a limited time just for my audience. And then when you see the number of sales you get, then you can thank me, because there's no cost to them. They're only paying me a commission based on what they sell. And it's not costing them anything of the cost of making the video or distributing the video or finding the audience that could be their customer to promote that commercial to, if you want to call it a commercial. And I'm just gobsmacked at the ignorance of these PR companies that think that, oh, well, we're the ones with the marketing experience and we know what we're doing. No, you don't know what you're doing. And the fact is, they're so unaware of the concept of what this channel has and what this community is, they don't even have a frame of mind to reference it to understand its value. And I don't have the patience to deal with these ignorant morons. That's how I feel. You go, what a shame that such a good company making such a great product has such an idiotic public relations company. It leaves me just dumbfounded as to why any company would turn down such an amazing offer. And I will say the companies that have played ball have done really well financially. You guys had a great turnout with the RoboForm deals we offer, great responses with Acronis. Folks at RoboForm couldn't be happier. The people at Acronis couldn't be happier with the level of engagement that this audience shows these 2 sponsors I've had. They've never seen it before. They've never seen, typically engagement levels are like, single-digit percentages, and we see double-digit percentages here. And kind of the expression is, I wouldn't have believed this if I hadn't seen it. They're like, this is off the charts, Carey. We're so impressed. And I'm like, you know what? You have a good product. You offered it at a good price. My audience recognized that, and they took advantage of it. I told you about that Samsung solid-state drive that was on sale for $250, the Evo, the 970 Evo Plus. That drive is $320 and has been so for like 6 weeks. You guys, right now, if you wanted to buy that drive, would pay $70 more for it. And I just did that based on Amazon commission. Samsung didn't work with me. Samsung doesn't even know who I am. I'm looking out for you, right? And I did pretty good on the commissions on that. Didn't hurt me at all. So you guys won, I won. Amazon wasn't complaining. Samsung wasn't complaining. Everybody was happy. And I told you about the whole Bitcoin thing. I told you back in January. I said Bitcoin's going to hit 50,000 by Valentine's Day. I was off by 2 days. And today it's just crazy. It's up to like over $56,000. So back in January, it was like 33,000. And then it was at like 43,000 in February. And immediately after I had mentioned it back in January, it fell. And I said, don't worry that it falls. It'll come back. Be patient. It'll come back. And not only did it come back, it's nearly doubled what it was 2 months ago. So if you put $1,000 into Bitcoin back in January, you could have near $2,000 in just 2.5 months' time for doing nothing. You show me any other savings account or investment opportunity that Bitcoin's probably, I'm going to take another attempt here. I'm going to say 65,000 based on what it's doing within the next 4 weeks. Yeah. And I think 100,000 by the end of the year. Now, when I say that, you have to understand it will fall. That's part of what it does. Bitcoin never stops moving. It's always up and down, or it's up, 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 and then down, 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 and then up, up, up. So when it falls, it's like no big deal. You don't have to freak out or panic. I kind of wish it would fall so I could buy more. I don't want to buy more at its highest price. But if it keeps going up, then the highest price, I'll say, gee, I wish I would have bought it when it was cheap. But like most investments, it's a game of patience and of sort of looking at it over the long haul. And of course, if you're somebody who wants to buy and sell quickly, as long as you can make enough to cover the fees for buying and selling, like You can go on PayPal and buy and sell Bitcoin. You cannot use it to make any purchases, but you can buy it and you can sell it. So I'm not a financial advisor, and I'm certainly no one you should listen to with regards to any financial advice. However, had you listened to me and followed my advice in January, you would have nearly doubled your money right now. But again, for disclaimer and legal purposes, I have no control over what Bitcoin does. I didn't know Elon Musk was going to put 1.5 billion into it a couple of weeks ago. And then I thought as a result of that, it was going to climb immediately. And it climbed a little bit, but it's been about 10 days or 2 weeks. And now suddenly it's like a delayed response and all the value is going up. That being said, it is a gamble, it's a risk, and I wouldn't risk every penny you have. However, I would have some skin in the game. You can buy as little as $1, I think, or $10 of Bitcoin. You don't have to buy a whole Bitcoin. You can buy $10 worth if you want over on PayPal. And I would recommend that you just put 10 or 20 bucks into it every week, whenever you can afford. And don't worry about what the value is. Just keep putting money into it. If you can afford $100 a month, just let your money work for you. And when it falls, don't freak out. Just relax. It will come back eventually. It always does. And it's only got one way to go. As far as I'm concerned, it can only go up. Again, I'm not a financial advisor, but I'm tired of working for my money. I need my money now to work for me. And that does involve some risk. The riskier the investment, the better the payoff. I kind of feel like there's not a whole lot of risk here because it's the future. And a lot of the people that are in financial advising are older and don't really understand it. So because they don't understand it, they're very skeptical of it. I see this younger generation as they become adults using it more and more. And I think it's only got all the cryptocurrencies, Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash. A lot of people think Bitcoin Cash is severely undervalued. I don't know, that's what they say. Litecoin is another one. And you can earn a lot more money than what the bank is going to give you, certainly. But with the risk that you could lose it. So, I wouldn't put everything I got into it, but I'd put some skin in the game anyway. It's kind of fun, especially if you don't have a lot riding. It's just 10 bucks or something, and your 10 bucks becomes 20 bucks. You'd be like, hey, that's pretty cool. I wish I would have put more in. And if it falls, it was 10 bucks, But again, it will always recover. Always will recover. You just have to be patient. So in any event, I'm still pursuing other potential sponsorships. If you're aware of any good quality companies out there that you think would be flexible in working with the audience, please let me know. Leave your suggestions in the comments below. And if it's a good quality product, I'll certainly reach out and make the offer. Typically, the large corporations don't play ball. They don't care. The large corporations put policy over profit, and I don't really have much interest in working with those types of bureaucracies. The smaller companies that deserve the sales and the attention, those are the ones that appreciate it the most, and those are the ones I really want to focus on. Rick Lake says he bought the Klipsch speakers I recommended and the Corsair keyboard. Yeah, and again, I didn't make any money off the Klipsch speakers at all because that was a deal through Costco with no affiliate program. And I didn't make any deal, well, the Corsair keyboard is offered on Amazon, but it's a $35 keyboard or a $40 keyboard. And the commission on that is probably 50 cents. So I have to sell a lot of them. But I wasn't doing it for that reason. I'm doing it because I want, people often ask, what's the best whatever I can buy? And I don't know what's the best for you. But if you're asking me what do I use, then I'll answer what I use and I'll tell you why I selected it. On the other hand, the reason why motherboards don't come with RAM and processors installed is because those are meant to be adjusted to the needs of the end user. The same with graphics cards, right? Now, obviously, with tablets or smartphones or laptops, that stuff's all sort of built in. There's nothing you can do about it. But because RAM is something that, some people need a lot of it, some people don't need a lot of it. CPUs, some people need more cores, some people need more frequency, some people just want what's cheapest. And those are socketed devices on motherboards, RAM and memory and the graphics card, because They are meant to offer a number of options at a number of price points for a number of different reasons that the end user would justify in deciding whether or not to make that investment. Or you could just go and buy an Apple-based computer where everybody gets the same thing, whether you need it or you don't, and they charge a nice premium on top of that. And if you're somebody who just can't decide what's right for you and you don't know, then Apple is more for you. If you're somebody who likes the freedom of choice and you want the freedom of selecting which CPU you want, which RAM and how much RAM, and at what speed, and what video card with how much RAM at what speed, then the doors are wide open to having something unique that meets your needs, including your budget. And to ask somebody else to do that for you is like asking somebody else what shoes you should buy or what haircut you should get. These are very individually selected things. So I can't answer to you what's best for you. But what I can do is I can tell you what I have and why I selected it. And that doesn't mean it's the right decision for you. But that's the best way I can come up with it. Typically, to answer any question regarding what CPU, what RAM, or what GPU is the best, the answer I have eventually come to is that it's decided by your budget. There might be a GPU that's best for you, but you can't afford it. Then that's not the best for you, is it? So my answer overall to any of and I recommend that you borrow this from me to anybody who asks you, is tell them to buy the most they can afford. That's it, because at the end of the day, nobody ever complains they got too much power. I never get that call. Can I slow my computer down? Is there any way I can reduce the amount of RAM on my system? Nobody ever calls and asks that. My hard drive space is too much of it and it's too fast. So if you overbuy, you will grow into it. It's a solid investment that you will use. On the other hand, most people can't afford to overbuy, and that limits to what they will buy based on their budget. And therefore, instead of asking somebody, what's the best GPU for me, ask yourself, what's the best GPU I could buy for this amount of money that I have? Because that's not really opinion-based, that's fact-based. You can look that up yourself. You got $500 to buy a GPU? What GPU sells for that $500 price tag? Don't look at a $300 GPU. Don't look at a $400 GPU. If you have $500, then look at a GPU that, with all the taxes and everything included, falls into your budget. That's the one you should buy. And if it turns out to not be enough for you, well, you couldn't afford anything else. So that should be your deciding factor. Same with RAM. How much RAM should I have? How much can you afford? That's how much you should put in. CPU. Which CPU should I buy? In my opinion, no 3 series, no Ryzen 3s and no Core i3s, because they go obsolete too quickly. It's just a waste of money. Very few people ever just upgrade their CPU. It's mostly a hobbyist or enthusiast activity. It doesn't make up the bulk of computer sales. I will say, you get a Core i5, a higher end Core i5, Ryzen 5, probably lasts you quite a while. If you can swing the 7 series of Intel and AMD, you'll be sitting pretty for a long time. And if you can pull the 9 series, you'll be sitting pretty for a system that won't go obsolete or be too slow for you that much longer. The more you spend up front, in theory, the longer it will last you before you have to replace it or feel like you're lagging behind everybody else. If you want to keep nickel and diming it, then you'll spend more than everybody else who just bought the 7 or 9 series right out of the gate. They will have spent less than you did, because by the time you add up the cost to replace whatever CPU you've got with another one, you've already spent more than if you would have just done that to begin with. So we fall back to budget. You do what you can afford to do. I hope that helps. Any final questions? I want to wrap this up. We've been going nearly an hour, and I just primarily wanted to make this video to review the Hollyland wireless HDMI system, which I'm very much looking forward to putting into production here. As soon as I get off of this stream, I'm going to order the necessary cables. And like I said, I do believe I have the battery and the charger at home. They're just sitting there doing nothing. And I have 2 batteries, which is good because I'll have a spare, because you know Murphy's Law. I'll be using this and the video is going to cut out because the battery will have died. However, I will run a test to get an idea of how much battery life, how many hours of battery life I can get, so I won't necessarily be surprised when it happens. I can sort of plan for it. And I just want to offer anybody the opportunity to ask any other questions before we wrap up today's video. Do I have a video on network attached storage. I do. If you just search Carey Holzman as one word, just jam Carey and Holzman together, and then put a space, and then put whatever subject you want. If it's technical, like NAS, it'll be on there. There have been a lot of people asking me about hobbyist level stuff, and I kind of sneer at it because I can't make a living at it. And there's so much YouTube tech channels based on hobbyist stuff, I don't want to add to it. But it doesn't stop people from asking. Sometimes they're new here, they don't know, they've never been here before. You're doing anything with Raspberry Pi? That's something I get a lot of. And I always say the same thing, I don't do that here. It's just, I can't make any money with it. Raspberry Pi is something people play with. Well, there are some businesses that use it. Yeah, those are usually very specialty, what we call vertical businesses. Perhaps maybe somebody that installs lawn sprinkler systems might have a Raspberry Pi based controller they might offer customers, but it's very specific. So having said that, there is a Raspberry Pi kit on Amazon to replicate Atari 2600 and 7800 classic retro video games. And it even comes with a little case for the Raspberry Pi that has like a veneer wood grain. It's stupid. And I thought, you know what? We'll do this on the channel to address the number of requests I get for it and to explain and demonstrate why this is a hobbyist or enthusiast activity. This is something that a technician, a professional technician, might do on the weekend or after hours for fun, but not something a paid professional technician would ever get paid to do. This is purely tinkering, and it looks pretty simple and straightforward. It's $100 on Amazon. You put it together yourself. It comes with everything you need, the SD card, the games, the controller, the power adapter, the case, the Raspberry Pi board, all of it is included. And so when that arrives, probably sometime in the next few weeks, I'll make this little hobbyist enthusiast video just for fun, knowing that you just can't make a career out of that. I mean, I suppose you can make a career out of anything if you are really driven and work hard enough. However, it'd be a lot easier to find work if you went to where the work was. But we'll cover it just because it is fun, and you need time for fun in your life, and it's retro, and these are little do-it-yourself projects that anybody could easily do. You don't need any technical skill or experience to put something like this together. A little pricey at $100, but you know, in the 80s, buying the Atari 2600 system was more than that. So, you know, looking back on it, it doesn't seem like it's such a bad price. So that'll be coming up as well. A couple of contributions have come in. William Lynn with $2. Thank you, William. And John Jack Wilson contributes $25. And he says, I want to let you know that what we talked about on the phone did work, and it took 1.5 hours. Right on. Jack had called me with a question about cloning a drive, and he was doing it in a way I've never done it. And I told him I didn't know if it was going to work, but it was worth trying and to let me know. And apparently it worked. So thank you for following up, Jack. I appreciate that. Jason mentions he uses a Raspberry Pi as a printer server. So these little Raspberry Pis are just, it's a small circuit board. It's a very low-end processor, a little tiny amount of memory, and it's there to just basically do one job, and then you can configure the job, like turning on sprinkler systems or using it as a print server. It does typically one specific job. And there's already devices you can buy and take out of the box and plug in that you don't need to do something like this. Furthermore, the nightmare of supporting it, if you're a professional technician, is not worth it. So in my experience and in my opinion, when you're in a professional business environment, you want to buy specific equipment with support that's designed to do the task out of the box, or your client is paying you more in labor. And if you care about your clients, you wouldn't do that to them. And chances are, if they realize that you're gouging them in labor instead of just buying the right part that you could get in and out in 5 minutes, they probably won't keep you on very long before they replace you with somebody who's a little, looking more out after their financial interest. But if you're a hobbyist, if you're a tinkerer, you're looking for something to play with around the house, there's plenty of YouTube videos that exist with Raspberry Pi projects. I'm not one of those channels, but I will make this exception due to peer pressure and the fact that, well, let's face it, I kind of want to play with that Atari 2600. So for selfish reasons, and then I'll just share the process with you. We'll build it and test it here in an upcoming video in the near future during a live broadcast. So again, any last questions? Be happy to address what's on your mind. Holger Sanmiango contributes 10 Canadian dollars, and Rick Lakes with $10. Hey guys, thanks so much again for supporting the channel. Last opportunity for questions. If you previously asked a question, I have not seen it. Please ask it again. And yes, the Raspberry Pis will run Linux. That's what you wouldn't want to put Windows 10 on a Raspberry Pi. But again, there's YouTube channels, plenty of them. You type in Raspberry Pi, P-I, no E, into YouTube's search engine, and you will find a plethora of Raspberry Pi videos of numerous subject matter, of some sample projects that you can use this for. I'm not going to do that much work. The kit is available on Amazon that has everything you need. You just follow the directions, put it all together, and you're done. That's more my speed, because even on these hobbyist and enthusiast projects, I don't want to spend too much time on it. William Lynn contributed. He said he donated $5 previously to PayPal. Hey, William, thank you. Thank you again. ED wants to know, should I consider a pre-built computer if I can't find a reasonably priced GPU? You could be patient. Reasonably priced GPUs will be back, I imagine, in 2022. Should be pretty easy to find. However, if you're impatient, you can't wait, there are certainly some pre-built machines. I can't tell you makes and models of which ones are to avoid and which ones to buy, but I would direct you to a YouTube channel called Tech Deals. I really like the folks at Tech Deals. They're very similar, where they're live, no script, and they have very practical advice. And they discuss the option. They actually discuss this question in detail with some examples, and are much better prepared to provide you an answer than I am. I think they just did a video about it today, as a matter of fact. A system that comes with a 3070 that's pre-built, and I think they're recommending it. Bjorn Sand contributes 50 Norwegian krona. Bjorn, thank you so much for the contribution. Marco says he picked up a GT 1030 for $89. Well, yeah, just a 1030. Plethora. Pronounce that again, please. Am I saying it wrong? Plethora? A wide variety? Susan Harris wants to know, do you know about when you will be online next? I just got here and now you're going off. Well, this video will be available to replay as soon as you can actually rewind it right now while it's live. Susan, did you get the computer we sent? I hope you got it. I hope you're using it right now to watch the video. Yesterday's Tomatoes does the conversion. 50 Norwegian krona is $5.90 US. Hey, no amount is too little. It all adds up. If every viewer contributed $5, we have 230 viewers. You can do the math on that. I'd be sitting pretty good. So I really appreciate those that are generous and kind enough to offer anything at all. Stealth Mode contributes $5. He says, just for the hangout. Thank you. Hey, right on. Thank you, Stealth Mode. Marco's telling me plethora, accent on the E. Well, I don't know how you're pronouncing it. You understood what I said, right? When I said plethora. Are you all computers and I have to do everything exactly right, or I get a syntax error? Or do you know what I mean? Maybe I will just start making up words, and then I can tell you that you can't tell me how to pronounce it because I just made it up. I don't know. Let's see. Still looking in the chat here for any other questions. Tick-tock, guys. We're going to wrap it up. Abdul wants to know USB 3.2 Gen 1 or Gen 2 versus SATA 3 disk in speed for cloning. I know NVMe is faster for consumers. If it's USB, your limitation isn't going to be SATA or NVMe. The USB speed is not even going to be enough to deal with SATA drives. All right. It's pretty slow in the chat, guys. I take that as a hint that we're ready to go. Susan confirms she did get the computer. She's not using it yet. She needs to get a video cable to hook it up to her TV monitor. Yeah, you're going to want a DisplayPort to HDMI cable. Very inexpensive, widely available, both at Amazon or Best Buy, or any place that sells TVs probably has these cables. Any place that sells computers. I typically order my cables off of Amazon. What form of payment will be for the t-shirts? Again, I will get back to everybody with regards to the t-shirts, and I will deal with that through email. So be patient. I haven't responded to a lot of people yet regarding that. It's a lot of work, but I'm probably going to make like an unlisted video that I'll send as a response to everybody that will explain the upcoming process for payment options and receiving your shipping address. Thank you. Thank you for supporting the channel. Abdul Azim Patel with a $7.77 contribution. Yesterday's tomatoes contributes $4.99. Enjoy the 42.57785 Norwegian growth. I guess that's after YouTube takes their 30%, right? Are there any snow in Phoenix like Texas? No, not at all. The weather is beautiful here. It's in the mid 70s, shorts and a t-shirt weather. It's Phoenix. Okay. Well, thank you guys so much for joining me today. I'm going to cut this one short. I have a number of other videos I have to get done. So I have a lot more live content coming up as time permits, as well as some edited content that I have to finish up, and more Tech Vets episodes and other interviews. I'm also working on getting things lined up for that as well. One of the reviews I've got coming up will be, some folks mentioned mod mics. And I have some microphones back here that are meant to attach to a set of headphones that you like to turn them into a headset. And I've got 3 different ones, and we'll evaluate and review those live, just like I did with the headsets. I confirmed with Mike Smith that the Audio-Technica, which was my preference, was also his preference, in case you were curious. I'm not using the Cooler Master or the Seasonic and the Philips headphones. Those are great headphones for listening to music, but they're not a headset. So I would use the mod mic on the Philips headphones and see if that competes with the Audio-Technica setup that I'm using right now. So that's going to wrap it up for me. It looks like I've got everything. Hopefully everybody in Texas is doing better. Certainly our thoughts are with them right now. There's big struggles going on there for people that are, this has never happened in like 40 years, so they're not prepared for it, and they have to struggle to get through. Enrico contributes 10 Canadian dollars. He says, I have a Dell laptop where I cannot change the administrator password of the BIOS setup. I don't know what to do. Do I call Dell, or is there a way I can reset it? It can be different from one model of laptop to another, even when made by the same manufacturer. In some cases, it can't be done. In other cases, it can be easily done. And in other cases, it's sort of moderate process. If I were you, I would just use Google to search for the specific model of laptop that you have. Dell is the manufacturer. Ford is a manufacturer. Mustang is the model. So you want to type in the Dell model number into Google, along with BIOS password in your Google search. Focus on communities like Reddit and Dell forums to see if somebody has already offered this. It probably is out there. The world of information is available at your fingertips. I would have to individually do this myself for your specific laptop. There's just no one generic answer, because you can imagine those passwords are there to avoid somebody getting in and making unauthorized changes, especially if the machine is stolen. And so I don't really get involved in anything requiring bypassing passwords, because I don't know why you're specifically asking why you don't know your own password. It's all very suspicious, and I don't want to call anybody a thief, so I just first of all, be impractical for me to be able to research that live. And secondly, I don't want to be an accomplice with stolen merchandise. Even if you bought it used off of somebody, you don't know if they potentially stole it. And I just don't want to be involved in that for legal reasons. However, you can certainly do that research on your own. Use Google, Reddit, Dell forums. Those would be my main sources I would recommend. And don't be afraid to search the YouTube video library using YouTube search individually to see if somebody's already got a video showing how to do it, which is very possible as well. So thank you all for the contribution. I hope you all have a great Friday night. I will see you all again very soon. And thanks to Enrico and Yesterday's Tomatoes, Abdul Azim Patel, Stealth Mode, Bjorn Sand, William Lynn, Rick Lakes, Holger Sanmiango, John Wilson, William Lynn again, Bebo, David Griswold, Larry Wood, and of course, Joe Bush, who kicked us off with our first contribution today. Thank you for your friendship, your support, your kindness. I'll see you all again very, very soon. Until then, bye for now.